Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker, and I'm your host. And we're looking on this show to work smarter. What does it mean to work smarter and not harder? We hear that all the time, but a lot of times we think we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. I'm bringing experts here to help you to be able to work smarter. And today I'm super excited to be talking about Erin Stafford is with us, and we're going to talk about performance and burnout as it relates. And she is a marketing guru, a burnout survivor, which is why she can talk about it, hypergrowth business leader, and social psychologist. From working with the world's highest achievers throughout her 20 plus years in an international career, being an A-type poster child herself, and interviewing Olympians and startup founders and Fortune 500 CEOs, leading researchers and celebrity coaches, she knows and has seen firsthand how type A personalities and constant overachievement are coveted in the world of business today, and yet can lead to debilitating burnout. And I know I'm going to put myself right there and clear out my laundry today too. Erin has made it her mission to help leaders everywhere to identify and break free from the type A trap so that they can stay in peak performance for the long haul. And by the way, before I introduce Erin, that's her new book that she just launched, is The Type A Trap. So Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So I can totally relate to that type A trap. I was actually just reflecting on, as much as we learn and we try to get away from it, it's always pulling at us. There's something in us that is just who we are. So tell us first, what is type A, so everybody's clear, and what is the type A trap? So if we're going to start there.
Yeah, so I define type A trap. Clearly, it's something that I've made up, but I define the type A trap as all of these things that help us be successful early on in our career. The hustle, the grind, the grit, the long hours, the going to the conferences, staying late, working early, putting in the hard yards. All of those things that help us be incredibly successful in our careers are also the very things that cause us to burn out. And so it's this trap because on the one hand, you want to, most people, at least me, most high achievers, we want to be successful. We want to continue to succeed. We want to be able to perform at these high levels, but we also would like to do it without burning out. So how do we find that balance? How do we get out of that trap in a way that lets us do that?
I find, I can only speak for myself, you've interviewed lots of Olympians, but I find it compulsive. If you looked at the bell curve, and I talk about this in my first book, The Productivity Zone, where we fall off when we're really good at something, but when we become obsessive over it, right? That's where it starts to not be an asset and starts to be a liability. I'm like, it's a compulsion to work harder, to reinvent it, or to compare myself, or whatever it is. How do we get over that compulsion?
There's this great quote that says this constant push for more isn't ambition, it's addiction. And we are very much addicted to that feeling of accomplishing, achieving, doing more. And sadly, we live in a society that really rewards people for burning themselves out. We see it time and time again. These people that are leading great companies, achieving all these big things, and then 6 months later, whatever, they have a heart attack, or they completely burn out, or they have some sort of other physical ailment because they haven't been taking care of themselves. And so it's a slippery slope. I think one of the biggest things is really trying to redefine success, because if we are constantly so obsessed with achieving and accomplishing, but we're ultimately too broken inside, or too depleted, or too physically unhealthy to actually enjoy that success, then what the heck is even the point what all of this hard work if you never have time to enjoy it, or you're missing every family dinner, or you've got gallstones, or just random things that happen to us when we don't take care of ourselves? What does that success look like, and how can we redefine it a bit?
Absolutely. I do think we should redefine it because I don't define that as success at all, right? I don't find myself to be successful if I'm frantic or if I'm stressed or overwhelmed or pushing too hard. So it's really about getting clear on that definition and getting clear, I think, like you said, on that kind of addiction. And I think,
Yeah, and like you said, it's a compulsion, because when you are someone that's super driven and motivated and internally motivated and you love accomplishing and achieving, the goalpost keeps moving. It's not once you climb the mountain, you're going to be happy. No, then you get up there, you see another mountaintop. We hear it time and time again. The goalpost just continues to keep moving. We're never happy with what we've done or accomplished. We just keep wanting the next big thing. And it absolutely becomes an addiction.
So first, redefine our success. That's what I'm hearing. So really sit down with pen and paper and define what success looks like to you. So second, I would say, how do we help people to let go? To really get clear on what to let go of. I think so many people are focused on the wrong things. And so actually it would save themselves a huge amount of time if they'd stop doing the things that actually aren't moving the needle and just focus on the things that are. So how do we help people to let go?
So here's the thing. Never going to get somebody who's like this compulsive overachiever to do an absolute 180 in their life overnight. It doesn't happen. They're not going to just all of a sudden completely reorganize their schedule and be totally imbalanced. It just doesn't work like that. And so the key is really making small incremental shifts. I look at it a lot like diet and exercise. I think we're very clear on what we need to do to stay healthy: eat well, exercise often. And it's not just a matter of doing this one day and then all of a sudden we're in great shape. No, we got to drink the water, have less wine, get the salad instead of the fries, take the stairs. Like, all of these little things add up to us being healthier. And right on cue, she drinks the water. Love it.
You made me think about it. I was just like, while you're talking, I'm going to drink some water. It's here.
So it's all of these little things that add up to help us be healthier. Just drinking water in and of itself, that's not going to change your life. Okay. Right. But it's all of these things added up that really do help to collectively make us healthier and happier. The same exact thing is true with preventing and overcoming burnout, letting go of it. So how can we make small incremental changes to help us let go a little bit? Because like I said, if you're a control freak that's got running some massive company and all this success, you're not going to just instantly change your whole life. So there's something I call the Coco Chanel takeoff. There's this great quote by Coco Chanel, the famous French fashion designer, that she says, when dressing with accessories, before you leave the house, take one thing off. And so I take that approach with my schedule, and I say, before you start your week, take one thing off. On Sunday night or Monday morning, can we look at our schedules and just take one thing off? Is this a meeting or a Zoom that could actually just be an email? Mm-hmm. Let's be real. There's a lot of those, right? Is this the week that your kids can carpool to soccer practice with somebody else? And these things don't just have to be at work. These can be at home too. Is this the week that you look at your schedule and you're like, oh my gosh, I have 3 evening activities this week. It's Monday and it's already stressing me out. Cancel one of those or reschedule one of them. There's another great study out of Gartner that talks about proactive rest. And I love this concept because so often we think of rest as something that we have to earn, or we have to be absolutely exhausted before we rest. Right. But this study out of Gartner says, no, let's look at rest as something that we incorporate into our day and our week proactively so that we prevent exhaustion in the first place. And again, these are small little shifts, and these could look a million different ways for people. It could be having 50-minute meetings instead of 60-minute meetings. Give your team those 10 minutes back to run to the restroom, grab a coffee, whatever they need to do. I know something that I implemented on my former team was meeting-free Fridays. Now, I could not control the whole company, but I had about 75 people on my team. And on my marketing team, we didn't have marketing meetings on Fridays. And it was just a way for me to give them back a little time to catch up on the week so that they could go into their weekend feeling a little less pressure, with everything that's so sitting on their shoulders. Another great thing is just turn the music off in your car. That's another great proactive rest tip. Like, so often we are just bombarded by text messages and podcasts and emails and audiobooks and just all the things we're constantly bombarded with. We get in our car, we're commuting, so we want to be productive. So we turn on an audiobook or something, but sometimes it's really good. And I realize the irony of being on a podcast right now, but there's a lot of different times you could listen to it, but give yourself a break sometimes and just turn the music off when you're commuting. Take those moments of just silence. Give your nervous system a chance to reset. All of these small little things in and of themselves are not going to change the world, but you add a bunch of these up together and you will start to have a healthier approach to life and your work. And all of these little changes can ultimately add up to helping us let go more, which is your original question. They help us let go. They help us create a more productive and healthier schedule.
Absolutely. You brought a lot of really great tips in that segment there. I want to share some of my own as well, which I think are helpful. You talked about taking things off. Like, I really love that it came from the fashion sense. And I like to do that too, is if I know that I've got something that needs a lot of creative time, like you just wrote your book and it takes a different headspace. So know what kind of headspace your different types of work are requiring, and then look at your schedule. And I do that too, as I go and I'm like, I have to clear some time. Which of these meetings can be moved, which aren't essential or urgent? Because we get caught up in all these false urgencies. So we really have to, I believe, ask ourselves, is this really urgent that it needs to be done today? And how can we create space for ourselves and move it? One of the ways I like to create space too is I like to delegate first thing in the morning, because then I'm compounding my effort because it means I'm giving something to someone else that, they can accomplish that's on my to-do list. So I can get to the things that are most important for me to do, because that has to be a distinction, especially for a lot of leaders, is tend to, and I'm this person too, right? I'm in recovery here.
We all are.
So we have to remind ourselves, and it has to become a practice, like you said, a daily practice of taking things off your calendar, changing the venue if it doesn't need to be, as you said, a physical meeting, send an email, or maybe vice versa. It's going to be a lot faster to pick up the phone and speak to that person versus writing an email, because sometimes you have to be so specific in your language, right? So really assessing that and where we can take back, right? This show is called Take Back Time. Where can you identify the top 3 areas that you can take back time by delegating, by automating, by pushing something out, by any of those means?
And it's hard. And often it requires us to be really honest with ourselves. I'll give you this example. I was supposed to launch a digital course in October. I had all sorts of horrible things happening in my personal life for a couple months. And I was also in the approach up to my book launch, and that was a hard deadline that was coming out, whether I wanted it to come out or not. I couldn't move the deadline and the publishing date of the book coming out. But the digital course, I had to take a realistic look. And as a super type A that wants everything done all the time and wants to do all the things, I had to sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to have to push this launch of my digital course back, because I have too much going on in my personal life right now, things that were a massive curveball that I wasn't expecting. And I'm not going to burn out launching a book about burnout. I have to be able
How ironic would that be,
some of my own medicine and just realize, listen, I got thrown a curveball I wasn't expecting. Something's going to have to give. The digital course, it can wait until Q1 or Q2 of this year. No harm, no foul. Is it what I planned? No, but at least I got that off my plate. And trust me, that was hard, because as the recovering type A-er, I feel like I failed. And I was like, oh, you should have been able to do it all. No, we can't do it all. At some point, something has to give, and really being honest with ourselves and knowing when we just have to pull the plug on something and say, no, this is going to have to wait for a while.
So now I'm going to play the advocate of the person who's online and says, I'm not an entrepreneur. That's great for you, for both of you, right? We're both entrepreneurs. We have more flexibility in our deadline setting than some other people have. So what is your advice for somebody who is, let's say, in a middle management position and is very much subject to the deadlines that are coming from above and don't have the luxury to move something or, right? So how does that person deal with their
Yeah.
schedule and their deadlines?
I think there's always small adjustments that can be made. Now, always is probably too broad. Maybe if you're a shift worker or a line worker or you're in some sort of factory, like I get it. You have to be there doing your job. I think there are always adjustments we can make in our personal life. If we work at a job that is very regimented, very strict, very organized and ordered in a way that we don't really have a lot of autonomy or agency over our schedule, then I think we can always make adjustments in our personal life. Are there things you can do outside of work that are going to streamline your time, that are going to allow you to spend more time doing things that you love, that light you up, that build you up and get you excited instead of dragging you down? And these can be so simple. These can be like just streamlining where the trash can is in your kitchen. Is it annoying and the drawer gets jammed every time you have to pull it out? It drives you nuts and you get annoyed. Fix it. Like some of these smallest little things that just irk us every day in our house and in our environments drive us nuts and cause us stress and cause us to all these things add up. Like I said, none of these is going to change your world, but all of these things add up to create more stress, more friction, more tension in our lives. So how can we look at how do we meal prep throughout the week? How do we prepare our kids' lunch boxes during the week? Are there things we can do to streamline bath time or homework time? What are the ways that we can implement some of these things in our personal lives if our work life is super regimented and not really flexible?
Those are great suggestions. I do also think that that people who are in those types of positions that might be regimented, I think that they argue with their reality. They're like, it should be different, right? And they complain about the fact that their job is ad hoc. So therefore, maybe it's difficult for them to plan. And so what I say is when you accept the reality, that's how it is, and look for pockets. Because I think also, even if you're very regimented, if you're an admin assistant and people are coming to you, or you're a project manager and you have multiple projects across different departments. So how do you do that? Well, you look for those opportunities. So maybe it means that the first hour of the morning is you time. It's what you need to do to get organized and feel in control of your day. And you don't take any meetings during that first hour. Or maybe it's like I have an AI assistant that takes notes while so maybe you have an assistant, some sort of bot that supports you, or even maybe you pay for 2 hours a week of an assistant of your own. I don't care what position you are, but maybe that would just help you because you're not good at PowerPoint slides and other people are. So you could hire somebody for $10 an hour who does a great job and could create a really great presentation for you. So I think that when we step back and get some perspective and really assess objectively our reality and where do we have those pockets? Are we communicating clearly when we're transparent and we communicate, maybe the workload isn't fair and you have more than your counterpart. Maybe there's a way to balance the workload or to cover the phones for each other when you're taking a particular time. I think we just need to tap into our creative brain.
100%. And with sites like Fiverr and things like that, you can find people for so cheap in other parts of the world that are experts in whatever you may need help with. In my last job, we had this sales guy who was a really successful sales guy. And just on his own, outside of work didn't pay for this. He found a group of people in the Philippines that would make cold calls for him and tee up meetings for him. And he was just trying to be more efficient at his job. Right. They didn't know about this. He was paying for it out of his pocket. Ended up working out for him because then he would eventually book the deal and he'd get the commission, etc. So how can we work smarter like that? How can we take the initiative and dig around online? The beauty of the world we live in right now is that you can literally find anything on the internet. You can get someone to help you with anything. And for, like you said, relatively inexpensive. And I realize that's not always an option for everybody, but you can find a lot of good stuff there for cheap.
Yeah, you can. And it's also, don't rule it out depending on how stressed you are. maybe it's also something that your boss would agree with and the company would take over that budget, realizing that you're spending your time in areas that aren't your key areas. So what didn't I ask you, Erin, that we really need to talk about before the end of our session today?
I think one thing is really just the importance of slowing down and how, as a motivated, driven, achiever, type A, whatever you want to call it, it is often so hard for us to slow down, to stop, to take a break, to take a pause. And that really, like any high achieving athlete, they understand the importance of rest and make it an integral part of their training. We have to do the same. I still struggle with this myself. It is something I have to constantly remind myself that on days when I'm feeling overwhelmed or I have so much work on my plate, I think I just need to sit at my desk longer and do more. But ultimately, if I just step away for 10 or 15 minutes and lie on the couch with my feet up or go on a walk outside or do 20 jumping jacks, just something to get the energy shifted and move and get away from my desk, it ultimately reinvigorates me and helps me feel better. And I know at the depth of my burnout, I had so many recovery tools jam-packed on my schedule, like therapy, massages, facials, chiropractor, doctor's appointments, meditation, all the things, you name it, I packed my schedule with it. But at some point, I was just like, am I relaxed yet? And I wasn't, because I was just trying to do too much. And so at some point, we have to just realize we've got to take something off the schedule. We've got to slow down, not forever, just in pockets here and there, to give our bodies a time to rest and recharge, because we will never be able to perform at our absolute peak if we are just constantly running ourselves into the ground.
So funny. You were an overachieving recoverer.
Like I was like, if I'm going to be burnt out, I am going to be the best at recovering from burnout that you've ever seen.
That's funny. That's really funny.
Work in progress. Okay. I'm a work in progress.
All work in progress. All work in progress. And I think that's actually a great way to end the show, in that we just have to give ourselves a break. We're all work in progress. We can't do it all, right? We can't please everyone. And so we just have to step back and realize, do what we can and make space, as you said, to slow down and just take it easy. You'll get it all done. Or you'll get the important things done, because that's
absolutely
what happens. So thank you so much. So where can people get your book and read more about you?
Absolutely. You can find everything on my website, erinstafford.com. You can also find my book on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and pretty much wherever you buy books. It's called The Type A Trap: 5 Mindset Shifts to Beat Burnout and Sustain Peak Performance.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Erin.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for being here. So right after you get off this podcast, I want you to chill out. I want you to go get some water and drink some water. And then I want you to find a comfortable space and just sit down. Don't put your phone in front of you, and just take a moment to pause. And maybe you picture yourself, you could close your eyes and picture yourself here. I'm going to do it right now with you guys. I'm going to picture myself on the beach. My favorite time at the beach is about 5 p.m. in the summer, when everybody's gone home. So it's thinned out. There's a little breeze that might be coming on, and just listening to the waves. That's just so relaxing to me, to listen to the waves, to sit at the beach, to feel that salt air. And give yourself a couple of minutes of just imagining that you're somewhere cool, and be there and just be present. And that's it. Then you can go back to whatever it is that you have to do, and you'll go back with renewed passion, be reinvigorated when you take the time to pause. So go get Erin's book also, so that you can take a look at those 5 mindset shifts. And we'll see you in the next episode. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. See you there. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.